Hello and welcome to Business Daily on Trust Television. This is the program where we'll bring you all you need to know, up-to-the-minute updates on developments in the world of business, finance, the economy, and also the stock market, not just in Nigeria, but in other parts of the world. I am your host, Christiana Amodu Otinya. Thank you for joining in on the program today. First, we'll begin with the headlines. Now, we'll begin from the front of taxation. Taxes on line gaming operators now taxed at transaction points. Also, the cost of cooking gas continues to soar as it increases by 61%, and we'll bring more of these in the Business Roundup segment of the program. I'll take a short break. When I come back, it'll be time to look at updates from the stock market. Please stay.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. Now, let's take you through updates from the stock market. So we begin from the local buzz here in Nigeria, talking about the Nigeria Exchange, the Nigeria market. Now, the Nigeria Exchange Limited witnessed a 0.52% contraction in penultimate trade for the week. And this is the first contraction for the week. As you can see here, now the all-share index settled at 44,625.18. Now, we have a decline there of 0.52%. Now, for activities that transpired on the floor of the Nigerian bourse. Now, we saw a total volume of 150.97 million shares valued at 1.55 billion naira, changing hands in 2,998 deals on the floor of the Nigerian exchange. The equity cap settled at 24.43 trillion naira. Let's go over now to other African markets, talking about the JSE in South Africa. Now, there's a lot of focus on South Africa, what's happening, especially on the fiscal front. We're seeing a decline there, 1.45% there for the JSE in South Africa. While in Ghana, the Ghana Securities Exchange, the stock exchange in Ghana, is down marginally there, 0.02%. So the arrows we can see here from other bourses in Africa is largely in the red territory. Now, for South Africa, there was an unveiling of a better than expected budget deficit, improved outlook in the country's debt ratio, and continued strong emphasis on fiscal consolidation. Now, let's go over to Wall Street, talking about the United States. Nasdaq 100 futures were lower after disappointing Amazon earnings added to the already pressured index. Now, some have tagged what's happening with tech stocks a red day. Now, looking at the U.S. markets, it's a mixed close here. We have just one green and two reds. For the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 0.61%. The S&P 500 shed 0.61%, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite is down 1.63%. Now, a lot of focus has really been what's happening with tech stocks around. That's talking about the global straight. Now, we saw Amazon shedding close to 13%, and especially looking at the earnings report coming in from these companies. Now, the earnings that was reported by Amazon was not looking so good, and that also helped in the plummeting we are seeing for the Nasdaq Composite. Also, Twitter has been in focus recently. Now, Twitter is set to be delisted from the New York Stock Exchange today, and that's because, of course, power is changing hands with the Bird app. Elon Musk is set to acquire Twitter, and he tweeted, actually, the bird is freed, and we expect some changes. Sources are saying the CFO and the CEO has been removed by Elon and his team. Now, Twitter will be delisted, and of course, issues around the acquisition will be in focus in recent times. We'll monitor this development and bring you updates. Now, Musk had until today to complete his $44 billion acquisition of Twitter or face a court battle with the company. Going over to European straits now, European markets opened largely low as investors continue to digest European Central Bank's decision to raise interest rates by 75 basis points. Now, the FTSE 100 is down 0.89%. The CAC run in France is down 0.62%. And the DAX in Germany, the only green we are seeing here is up 0.96%. Heading down to Asia Pacific region, what's happening with markets in Asia? Now, really, the market has been focusing on the global economic outlook and what that is looking like. The Nikkei 225 shed 0.88%. Now, the Shanghai is having the biggest haircut here, down 2.25%. And the Kospi in South Korea is down 0.89%, as you can see right there from this chart on your screen. Now, the Bank of Japan, talking about the BOJ, also is staying largely dovish, especially at a time when we are seeing central bankers raising the rates and staying very hawkish. The IMF have also said central banks across the world must try within its purview to ensure that it reins inflation in. Inflation has been a key focus for central banks. Now let's go over to the commodities market and see what the prices are like today. Now, as you can see, there's a whole lot of red happening here from this board that you can see, starting in from the international benchmark for crude oil, that's Brent crude, is down 1.02%. Moving over to gold, the bullion is also down 0.61%. Remember, the yellow metal, talking about gold, is considered a hedge against inflation. But the dilly-dally we have seen going on around inflation and other key macroeconomic parameters definitely are having an impact on these numbers. For agro-commodities, palm oil is at $4,000, down 2.92%. Now, for palm oil, we are seeing that supply was jeopardized as storms and flood risk during the incoming monsoon season sparked concerns of harvesting disruptions, risking output in major producers in Southeast Asia. For wheat is at $831, down 0.89%, and cocoa is doing within the $2,300 mark, up 1.58%. That's the only bullish we have here on this screen. Going over to crypto market now, what's happening with cryptocurrency? The flagship cryptocurrency Binance, Bitcoin, I beg your pardon, is up 0.90%. They're still staying around the $20,000 mark. For Ethereum is at 1,500 thereabouts, shedding 1.57%. And Binance Coin, $286 there, down 0.03%. Now, those are the numbers we have for you. A lot of focus for the markets, generally talking about what's happening with the global outlook. Remember, the United States also released GDP figures, and investors are also digesting these economic data and how it's affecting the market, how they are also pricing in on that. Let's quickly take the business roundup, give you stories around the business world. And when we come back, you get to meet my guests. Please stay.
Using the Sentinel National Payment Gateway and computerized solution, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, has started deducting taxes at transaction points from online game transactions. Integrated payment service providers can deduct taxes at the time of transaction and quickly remit the taxes deducted to the government's treasury. The deployment of Sentinel National Payment Gateway would make tax compliance for businesses involved in online gaming easier, according to a public announcement from FIRS signed by its chairman, Mohammed Nami, and directing full compliance from the online gaming community. According to the FIRS, all companies providing online gaming services in Nigeria must link to the Sentinel National Payment Gateway, deduct tax from online gaming transactions, and submit same directly to the relevant government's treasury by no later than December 31st, 2022. The National Bureau of Statistics says the cost of 12.5 kg of cooking gas increased by 61% from 6,165 naira in September 2021 to 9,906 naira in September 2022. The NBS revealed this in a paper titled Liquefied Petroleum Gas Price Watch for September 2022. According to the Bureau's examination of state profiles, Cross River had the highest average retail price for the commodity at 10,937 naira, followed by Kogi and Oyo at 10,760 naira and 10,724 naira respectively. On the other hand, Yobe had the lowest average price at 8,350 naira, followed by Katsina and Taraba with 8,545 naira and 9,026 naira respectively. The Nigerian Association of Liquefied Petroleum Gas Marketers advised Nigerians against panic buying in light of the recent force majeure declaration by the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited and the rising price of gas.
All right, there you have the business roundup. That's how much we can take for the business roundup. Now, the focal point on the program today will be the recent announcement that came in from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now, there's been a whole lot of reactions that have trailed the announcement of redesigning the Naira in Nigeria. The CBN rightly gave reasons why this needs to happen at this time, talking about ending counterfeiting, ending hoarding, fighting corruption, ending vote buying. These were some of the issues that were brought into front burner as the reasons why this move needs to happen now. Now, my guest on the program today is the lead economist at SPM Professionals, Paul Alaje. Now, I want to quickly get your opinion on this announcement, basically, and for some reason, I want to ask you, do you think this will also have an impact on the stock market? Because we saw the stock market finish bearish. We saw the stock market finish bearish now for penultimate trade. What are your expectations?
Well, it's going to come with a lot of implications. You know, most economic policy have both upside and downside. First, central bank is saying it's going to redesign the face of Naira. Nigerians are expecting anything that has to do with Naira. What many Nigerians want to hear is how will that improve the value? But unfortunately, this is not going to create a value addition effect. What it will create is a face value addition effect. So we now need to deal with the expectation of people in terms of value and the monetary policy decisions that central bank is making when the authorities increases MPR from 11.5% to 13%, from that to 14, now to over 15%. Yeah. Central bank is saying rather than taming inflation, inflation seems to be on the loose as the inflation figures continue to rise at over 20%. Does it mean that because we have over 2 trillion naira outside the economy, the impact of monetary policy by adjusting NPR, CRR, among other indicators, seems not to be having effect? Why? Because when you look at the M1, total money in circulation, cash and checking, many of them are not within the banking sector. So if we withdraw the old currency and bring in the new currency, our policy, according to central bank governor, may have effect. What has not been mentioned by the central bank governor is that there are several states, including my state, at least 10 local government has no banking presence. Yes. So even if we change, what will truly change? A lot of things that are still begging for answer from authorities.
I like that slant of the unbanked now, as you have mentioned, because that's very, very important in this discussion. However, I'll hold my horses now, take a short break. When we return, you get to hear more from Paul Alaje on this issue at hand. Please stay. The road leading up to the Lokoja Bridge from Abuja, and as you can see, tankers carrying fuel, trucks carrying livestock,
perishables, and commuters trying to make their way from point A to point B have all been slowed down as a result of the flooding going on in Lokoja.
As I tell you, so my house is inside water like this.
This is my house. This brings it. This is my house.
We have no option than to come here and look for what we chop.
This water have really spoiled many things. Even as I'm talking to you, I'm not in my own house.
I want to encourage them and assure them that their government, their governor, the governor they elected had come to see them. And government officials have been going there to see them. They are not in this alone. We are with them.
Welcome back, and thank you for still staying there with us on the program. If you're just picking your remote perhaps and you're just tuning in, this is Business Daily coming to you live from Trust Television. This is where we crunch the numbers and give the numbers basically a human face. And today we are focusing on the redesigning of the Naira as was announced by the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele. He made that disclosure sometime during the week. And the new space has been agog with what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, what is the way forward. However, let's take this report on that situation.
The three denominations the CBN plans to redesign, according to the Apex Bank's governor, Godwin Emefiele, are the 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes. The move approved by President Muhammadu Buhari has so far garnered several reactions from the public and raised many questions, one of them being whether the move by the CBN is a misplaced priority, considering the several challenges the country is facing.
Well, I will start by commending his effort, but the time I would have loved him to wait. This dispensation has a little month. The current dispensation has a little month left. This is a type of project he should bring upstream when the new dispensation comes on board.
When I read this news yesterday, in fact, I was not happy because from the look of things, it's like the federal government have lost focus. To me, the federal government have lost focus. When we are talking about insecurity and other things, hunger, and there are a lot of challenges we are facing in this country, but the federal government are telling us that they want to redesign Naira. But it's uncalled for.
To reprint the new currency, the money is cost us as extra money, which is, to me, has no justification for, because presently our problem is not about to redesign our currency. We have a lot of problems in Nigeria, and that we need to face that to the current, because we have a lot of debt we need to pay. To redesign our currency now, it implicates more cost on us.
In a bid to mop up the excess money in circulation, could the CBN inadvertently create a new set of problems for Nigeria?
The immediate impact, could be slowdown in GDP. We may also have a situation of, loss of jobs, what's here and there, and even a spike in the exchange rate, particularly in the parallel markets. You should expect that some people may want to take advantage of the days, and they will now besiege the parallel markets to offload the cash they have. So you are likely to have some of these immediate, reactions, but they are going to be short-lived.
Let's look at it from the point of the economic impacts as a policy. With that impact in curbing the rising inflation figure, The answer is no, because it's actually counterproductive. And if let's also look at it from the time frame they are looking at, they are just looking at 90 days, 3 months. How could you succeed to take away about close to 3.4 trillion naira within 90 days from the circulation? That's impossible. That's a total policy somersault. You're going to put a lot of pressure to the system, and that is not welcome at this very point in time. You are using 90 days to do such kind of a hooch. In other clients, they give 1 year, 6 months minimum. Why are you going for 90 days? It's going to put a lot of pressure on those who hold in such cash.
There are so many divergent opinions on this issue, talking about the redesigning of Naira notes. I still have with me in the studio Paul Alaja, the lead economist at SPM Professionals. Now, you gave us an instant on what the reactions should be, what Nigerians should expect, especially when it comes to this policy move we saw from the Central Bank of Nigeria. I want you to categorically tell me what's your stance.
My stand on the redesigning of Naira is neither good nor bad. Neither good nor bad. I will tell you what the benefits are, and I will tell you what the demerits are. So it's left for Nigerian government, if they have not printed the money already, or if they have, well, they may not be able to reverse, or the National Assembly, which I believe that they are also a major stakeholder in this, to make a decision. So if we redesign our currency, what does it mean? It means that, one, what we are holding today will now be holding another kind of money, but will command the same value. You know, I kept saying the difference between face value and the value.
Yeah.
The face value is what you have, not the real value. That's one. Two, it costs a lot of money. Central Bank paid billions of naira to print about 2 trillion worth of currency in 2020. Why? Because when you look at the size of paper we call naira, they are excessively large compared to the dollar, compared to the rams. That's United States of America and United Arab Emirates. Yeah. Nigeria is larger than them all. But when you look at the value of naira is poor. So is Central Bank of Nigeria bringing currency that is more portable so that our cost of print will reduce? That could be a reason. Two, Central Bank is saying there are a lot of dirty money, bad money out there that they want to save. It's a good thing. So I can tell you that these were reasons in the early 2000s when new money were brought. Yeah. But what happened to them 10, 20 years after? They all went bad. Why? Because the culture of the people has not changed. So as much as we want to bring in new ones, are we going to change the culture of our people? But the undeniable argument to Central Bank is when we bring new money, perhaps we have lost touch with some of the money that we printed earlier. Out of 3 trillion, we're only able to track over 2 trillion. We're unable to track 2 trillion. So there is a challenge. Over 80-85% of the M1, money in circulation, we're unable to track them. So what we want to do is each time we make monetary policy decision, either we are increasing MPR or we are adjusting CRR or we are looking at liquidity ratio, we want it to have impact on the policy outcome so that we can achieve stability, which is the goal of Central Bank, either price stability or exchange rate stability, which are two key things that Central Bank must focus on. So Central Bank is saying when we change this, we are going to see the effect. And Nigerians are wondering, we don't understand all of this. So my concern about that goal, in fact, is we have structural issues. I don't know the state you came from, but I can tell you that even if your state is one of the states that we may want to call cross-populated states, Lagos, Abuja, and a few other places, the remaining states, mine now, 10 out of 30 states don't have commercial bank presence. And of the 10, the maximum number of financial institutions they have at all, microfinance bank, they don't have more than 5.
Because I'm glad you brought the slant of the unbanked population, because we have, over the years, the Central Bank inclusive have tried assiduously to see that we bring more people into the financial inclusion net. In my local government, for instance, if my grandmother wants to take the money she currently has, which would there's a deadline now for whatever Naira notes you're holding, the ones that they want to redesign at least. She has to pay some sort of transport fare to get to the bank, get back from the bank, and go home. Now, how can this be addressed?
And next week, when they have a celebration, she wants to buy a Ashwebi. She will now go back again.
True.
So it's not visible. We need to first solve our structural issues, and it's beyond the central bank. The fiscal authority must understand that we need to make necessary amenity in place. And mark you, along the travel line, there are bandits on the road. There could be bandits on the road. So you want to go and save your money to be compliant, but at the risk of your own life. So there are things that central bank alone cannot solve.
Yes.
So as much as we want to have a cleaner currency, we want to have a better currency, we want to achieve a good policy, but the structural issue remains the obstacle that will hinder us. Another very good argument I've heard is that we're going to curb terrorism financing, money laundering. These are very good things. In fact, you could see that the chairman of EFCC quickly responded by saying, we are with you on this, which is good. But the challenge I have again is some of these people that are putting money, that are stacking money, do we have measures of stopping them from approaching a BVC, changing this money in Naira, making the price of Naira to dollar at the parallel market to further go up above 740, that we have it right now? I'm not sure. How? So again, we go back to structural issues, which again is beyond the CBN. So when you make this policy, I saw e-Naira about a year ago. When it was introduced, I was interviewed. And people felt, oh, this is going to be the game changer. In fact, we called it all manner of names. I said, hey, guys, relax. Nothing will change.
I want you to land on this thought so you can quickly respond to my last question before we wrap up.
For me, nothing will change. Are we going to start seeing reduced inflation because of this policy? No, because we have bigger challenges. We have insecurity. Look at the flood. From your report, when there was an intro that played before the interview started. What does flood mean? To me, it means that the price of rice before flood, which was about 29 to 30,000 naira per 50 kg, we go to as high as 38 to 45 already. Not we go. In Warri, it's about 38 to 40 already. In Warri. So what will happen to the rest of Nigeria? And people have said maybe this will be the 1st December they will eat beans. Because many people in Christmas, they eat rice. It's becoming a culture of the people. But because of the price, and it is not, flood happened.
Okay.
So that is the implication.
Okay. Now, I want you, in 30 seconds, I want you to speak to rebasing or redenominating of the Naira, because I've also seen that argument come up. Is it time for that to happen, bearing in mind what we are seeing happening in Ghana? In 30 seconds, please.
Well, rebasing is very important, but I've seen economies that did that, such as Turkey. You know, Istanbul practiced it and it worked. But Ghana did not do what should be done first. And that's why Ghana is suffering. You cannot rebase or redenominate if you don't boost output. If Nigeria must rebase, our output production must back such up. That was why it was never allowed during Soludo. And I don't think it will be allowed now, because what happened during Soludo, now the governor of Anambra State, and now what is happening in Nigeria today, I have not seen significant difference.
Okay, thank you so much. Paul Alaje, the lead economist, SPM professional. Thank you always for coming in on the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that's where we draw the curtains for the program today. Salient points have been made here with regards to the way forward for the Nigerian economy and also for the conversation around redesigning the Naira. I am Christiana Amodu Otinia. Thank God it's Friday, but it is imperative that you stay safe. Bye for now.